I'm back from Crown Heights, from the Ohel, the resting place of the Rebbe, for Gimel Tammuz, rejuvenated, re-energized, with greater dedication than ever before, God willing. That should find an expression in, day out. So Gimel Tammuz was yesterday, the third day of Tammuz, 29 years ago, that our dear Rebbe left the physical world, and in the world where he is now is having a greater effect than ever before, which is evident that every year there's more and more people that come to the Ohel, because there are more and more people that are touched by his teachings and by his presence. By his presence. So we are all touched by that presence, and that's why we're here, because we're touched by the presence of the neshama, of the soul of our dear Rabbi. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you Tanya. We share with a host of wonderful people, day in, day out. It's remarkable. We have Art with us in Michigan, Michael in Germany. We have Roxy in New Jersey, a new regular. Wonderful. Brett, likewise, Pennsylvania now for a while. Jan is in Mexico with us. John in North Carolina. Julia in Pennsylvania. Rabbi in Morocco. Adam in Indonesia. Joseph in New Jersey. Cindy is in stormy Florida. Ooh. Daphne in South Carolina, having a fabulous Friday. We have with us Yero in Mexico, if I recall correctly. Andrea is in Phoenix. Denise is in New Jersey. David in California. Tim in Texas. Diane in Arizona. Stan is getting to greet Shabbos in London, England, rather. Who else is with us? Elise in West Virginia. We have Michael, Ruthie, Daniel joining us. We have also joining us, we have Amid in Montreal. We have Jennifer in Minnesota. We have the Prince with us. We have Carmen. We have with us Sophia Natiles in Brazil. We have the Lighters. Alice in Baltimore. Belly. Who else is here with us? Beautiful. Emotions find expression in many different ways. So the emotion of love that prompts someone to do a kindness, well, that kindness could be expressed in words, in many types of words. It could be words that uplift an individual. It could be words that bring a bond with the individual, right? Like, I love you, or it brings uplifting to the individual that was remarkable what you did. That's uplifting. So the utterances that come out of our mouth are expressions of our emotions, and those utterances can have many ways that they can express themselves. Now, those supernal letters of speech that are the source of creation are far and above the wisdom and the intellect of the created being, even though they're mere utterances as opposed to our intellect. So when the utterance has been said, let us make man in our image, right? As a result, man has, right, wisdom and intellect that was created. But what created it? The divine breath and the divine utterance. The breath that says that he breathed into the nostrils a soul of life. And the divine utterance that he uttered, let us make man. Therefore, the divine speech and breath that creates man are the source of our wisdom, of our intelligence, which is contained in all of our souls. Souls that are greater than the ministering angels above, that are superior, but the ministering angels also coming from the creative process of utterance and breath and utterance. Now, what makes that divine speech greater than our intellect, and ultimately meaning, well, I'll get there in a moment. What makes it greater is because that speech, divine speech, infused and enclosed in it is divine emotion, which the divine emotion is one with the Ein Sof of God, the essence of God. It's united in a perfect unity, right? So therefore, those letters that are an expression of ultimately the Ein Sof, so why are we calling them an utterance? Why are we calling them letters when they're a divine force? In other words, we call it vitality, call it life, but we're calling it letters of an utterance. It's a divine force, a divine light, call it, but to call it letters, it sounds like, letters are inanimate. They're insignificant. That's the point. The point we call it letters is because relative to the divine emotions, it's incomparable. Those letters of creation. Right? They're not letters in reference to us. They're letters in reference to the divine emotions. And yet, and this is the paradox that we keep on hearing, incomparably removed, but yet bound up in one. And therefore, even though we are created with wisdom, but this intellect and wisdom of ours is incapable of understanding this truly. So what is it? The supernal letters that are the source of all creation are 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, and so on. Right? Each one is a life force. So again, we're calling it a letter, supernal letters, which a letter is, is inanimate, but they're not. We only call it inanimate letters in reference to the divine emotions and divine intellect. And vis-a-vis that, oh, it's far removed and comparable. And yet one, right? But these letters that we're talking about that are 22 pathways, different forms of divine energy, life force, which all of creation comes forth. That creates higher worlds and lower worlds. Why 22? Well, that's the divine will. That he created exactly 22. Not more, not less. They are fixed, these actually 22 letters in the mouth and the tongue, as explained in Sefer Yetzirah, as they are the 22 different ways of actually uttering, verbalizing different sounds, different forms of letters. And again, they are, we call them letters, only reference to the divine emotions, but they are the vital force of the divine that is creating. What's it creating? Me. Let us make man. Those words. I'm been made. And remade. At all times. Together with the breath of God. Because when you speak about speech, you've got an utterance, right? The movement of the 5 organs, the mouth, like the letter pei is more of the mouth. Shin, the teeth, is more of using your teeth. Lamed is more the tongue. And ches is a guttural sound, the larynx. Then you have the palate. So I think it's like a letter aleph, if I recall. In any case, those are the 5 organs that create the 22 utterances, but together with it, in speech, that the utterance becomes verbalized and expressed outwardly is also breath. Right? Because when you use no breath, then you get. So I just uttered, but because there was no breath involved, you didn't hear me. It wasn't verbalized that one could hear. So in creation of us, let us make man as the utterance, and then he blew into us the breath of God, his breath, into our nostrils to give us life. And here we are right now, and every moment this is a happening. This is a happening. And with that we conclude chapter 11. We have one more chapter left. Which will make a conclusion on the second book of Tanya on Sunday. So stay tuned for more. And to conclude, the Koyach HaPoel B'Nifal, the power of Creator within creation, to get an inkling and understanding as best as we can, with the limitations that there are, but to appreciate, have an awareness of God's realness in creation, and that ultimately there's something, and that something is nothing but the divine. The lower level of unity that has a reality of world, of time, space. But what is that time and space? In its detailed understanding is appreciating all of the vitality that God creates through letters, different that therefore have different manifestations of the divine, and the uniqueness of all those different manifestations and everything that there is in the world, to bring us an awareness. There's nothing else but God. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Brett, when were the mystical properties of the Hebrew alphabet first described? Excellent question. Hey, if you look in the Zohar, you'll also find in Sefer Yetzirah about the letters. We're going to go more into the letters in the next chapter. So appreciate to understand how that works. But yes, so it's in Kabbalistic literature. So it's in the Zohar, written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the 2nd century. Sefer Yetzirah, which comes even before that. It's hinted to in the Talmud in different ways. John. Was the knowledge of the letter exchange and substitutions that with which God gave Bezalel and Oholiab for building the tabernacle? A very good question. This gets drawn into a more general question and issue. A more general issue that, how is it, the Alter Rebbe is explaining things to us that were not explained previously in this manner, in this in-depth manner. So how's it possible? What do you mean? Why wasn't it explained earlier? So, simply put, Torah is divine in two components. One, that it's carved in stone, and another, that it is forever increasing. The ultimate paradox. So is it carved in stone, or is it ever moving on? The envelope is moved forward. So it's both things. There's only 10 commandments. There won't be 11. Only 600 in the tablets. Only 613, not 612 or 614 biblical commandments. That doesn't change. But the understanding of things evolves. The depth of it evolves. That is not stagnant. So, therefore, did Bezalel and Oholiab have an understanding of what we're explaining? On some level, but not as deep and not as detailed as we have. That's just a brief explanation. 22 is a master number. What does that mean, Julia? If you can explain that, if you don't mind. Oh, I see I missed a few people. Irma in England. Rosa in Hungary. Sally. Oh, in Yerushalayim. Okay, beautiful. We have a Jerusalemite with us. Beautiful. Okay, did I miss any other questions? missed something? No, I think I got it. Okay, let me see anything here. Oh. Oh, repeat the 5 organs. Okay. Sorry, I didn't get that at least. Lips, teeth, tongue, palate, and larynx. The guttural sounds. That's how we utter letters and words. And then, of course, breath. Okay. I missed something else. Put 2 question marks before you ask a question so I could make sure that I see it as a question. All right. Beautiful. All right, folks. Our conversation will continue, where we'll have a siyum, a conclusion of the second part of Tanya. And you'll all be what I consider masters at pure physics of the universe, of creation. It's a pretty powerful idea. All right. All right, thank you all. Oh, 1 second. I see Eliana has a question. Eliana, please share with us.
Hey, obviously there's 22 letters in the Aleph base. How do we incorporate or explain the letter Sofit, the final letters, as there's 5 of those? Do those correlate to the organs of speech, or do they have the same energy as their corresponding letter within the Aleph base? How do we incorporate those?
So on one level, they're just adjunct to the regular letter. Like you have the letter nun, and you have the langa nun, a long nun, when it's at the end of a word. And on another level, it is a more powerful letter. So, you know, there is and there is. It's all... So even though, so with that, we would have more than 22. We'd have 26, right? Because you have a final nun, you have a final mem, and
Isn't there 5?
Right, tzaddik and pei, and
there's one more, alif, hey, nun, kaf.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. And Chaf, right. That's the first one, actually. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. So they come at end of letters. Right. And for numeric, and each one has numeric value. They actually become numeric values that bring us up to 900. So the Chaf would be 500, and then the mem is 600, nun is 700, the pei is 800, and then the final tzaddik is 900. So right, but they're also, so they're used in both directions, so to speak. It depends for what. So, but yet, they're still they're still part of the 22. They're part of the 22 in this reference. In other references, they have their own vital energy. As you see, they have their own number.
Right. Is there? Do you know if in the Zohar or in a Sefer Yetzirah, if it explains why we need those 5 letters?
I'm
Like
sure there
why
is.
those 5 letters?
I don't know. I'd have to do some research. Excellent question.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beyond my pay grade right now.
Very
Sorry.
Thank you that much.
Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Are they considered called like mother let? No, because a mother gives birth. So I don't know if it's called that. So I don't know if I haven't seen it that it's called mother letters. And then there's 5 children, 22 mothers and 5 children. Doesn't look like a right combo. 5 mothers and 22 children. Okay. Anyways, that was cute. Yeah. So I mean, I haven't seen it in that term. All right, beautiful. All right, folks, we are going into. Not least you said you meant in Hebrew. Oh, what are the words in Hebrew? Peh, Shinayim, Garain, Lashon, and there's one word that didn't come to me. Okay, anyways, more to come. Aaron has a question. Oh, okay. Aaron, are there any particular teachings on looking into gematria of one's Hebrew name, or is that just way beyond? There's a truth and a reality to all of this, but this is not the focus. This is not the focus. This is not the focus to understand all these things, because the focus is serving God. Knowing your name and the numeric value and so on and so forth is getting caught up not in the service of God. Is there something to know? Yeah. It's a higher pay grade, and we got time for that. I got time for that. So you definitely have time for that. Okay? No way, I don't mean to be negative or anything about that, but the focus is how are we changing this world for good? And knowing about the makeup of letters, and we need to know it insofar as that we can have a deeper appreciation of God's presence in the world. That's what's important. Everything else is information, but it needs to be information that leads to greater divine service, greater commitment to Hashem, greater fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs, greater care to change the world, to be a lamplighter. Right? So that's why we don't go so much into it, because that's not going to help so much. That if I know the makeup of my name, the letters and so on and so forth, but now I'm going to know myself better. If you were a really righteous individual, then yes, because then you could make correlations. We're not righteous people. We're not learned sufficiently that we're going to make the right correlations. The Rebbe, interesting, just to bring out the point. So there's not that there's something to it, but this is not our focus. When the Rebbe went in 1947 to France to pick up his mother, when she left, Russia and came, the Soviet Union rather, and came to France. So he went there while he was a chassid of the previous Rebbe. Previous Rebbe was the Rebbe at the time. And he made a fabrinyan with the chassidim. And he spoke about the Chassidim there, their names, and explaining their names to them and what that means. But that's the Rebbe doing it. So when he does it, there's something there. We do it. We got to be careful. What are we doing? All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing day. Thank you. Thank you.